Okay, guys, I got my thing to go over. I'm gonna go over Poirier versus Connor, the trilogy, the fight that proves that titles are overrated. Um, and I'm gonna go over the card real quick. My last time I started talking about people that I don't know, even if I just know one fighter, I don't know the other. I'm not really going to get into it, so I'm going to skip over a couple fights that I don't know both guys. I'll just go over the ones that I know both guys. We'll go from the bottom to top. So the first two fights, I don't know the guys, but I know Amare Akhmedov versus Brad Tavares. Tavares is in an interesting place in his career. He's kind of like a journeyman. He couldn't beat, the big fights, but he always looks really good in the non-big fights. However, Akhmedov is a really tremendous, I call him the Wolverine, tremendous fighter. I think both guys are well-rounded. Um, Tavares being a favorite, it's interesting if you look at it from a gambling standpoint. I love Akhmedov as an underdog. Overall, I think the fight is a really a pick 'em. I think that Akhmedov, the one thing is he doesn't fight too often, but when he fights, he looks fantastic. So I would love. I think it's going to be a great fight. It could bring out the best in Tavares because Akhmedov brings it, and it's a great could be a great launching pad for Akhmedov if he decides to be more active. Let's go to the Jennifer Maia, Jessica I. I mean, these are two girls that couldn't beat Shevchenko. But why not still fight? You never know with injuries. Look what happened with an NBA with injuries. I'm sure, you don't know when an interim title could happen. So stay winning. This is an interesting fight. Has shown, Jennifer Maia has shown some good skills and all around skills. Even when she was fighting Valentina, she showed, even though she was getting beat up, she showed that she could hang in there where Jessica I left herself open. Jessica I is an underrated grappler, but she's not on Maia's level. I think Jennifer Maia should win this fight, um, just because overall better at most parts of the fight. Good fight. Maia should win. Now, this next fight, I only know, I think I know Trevin Giles. I don't know the other guy, so I'm not gonna get into the Ryan Hall versus Topuria fight because I don't know Topuria. Just, it's a pleasure to see Ryan Hall. Let's see how he improves. I'd love to see him. He's a big underdog, too. Again, I don't know Topuria, though. But let's see how Ryan Hall progresses. Fights once every couple of years, and he always comes out with um, some improvements in his striking, so we'll see there. Now I know Niko Price versus Michael Pereira. That's going to be a fun fight. I mean, Niko is as tough as they come. Pereira is dynamic with his dancing and all that. You got to give Pereira the athleticism, um, but at the same time, Niko Price is kind of like a Nate Diaz or Yancy Medeiros. They don't seemingly can't get knocked out. Um, if this was a 5 round fight, I'd give Niko a shot. And let's talk about, briefly, can they make UFC fights 5 rounds that are not, you know, maybe they can pick specific fights. This would be an ideal one for Niko. I think in a shorter fight, Pereira more dynamic. It's going to be just a fun fight. I don't want to, on some of these, I don't want to really predict. I see Price is a little bit of an underdog. I like Pereira a little bit, his skill set, but it should be fun. Uh, Carlos Condit versus Max Griffin. Condit as a dog, as an underdog, is a wonderful pick. Griffin has talent, but he doesn't have elite talent. He doesn't have the talent that Condit hasn't seen. Now, does Condit still have the speed that he had when he was younger? Does he still have, obviously he's not where he was when he fought Robbie Lawler for the title when he fought GSP. But I think his elite skill and the fact that he's coming off a win or two, or at least one win, will give him more confidence. I think he takes care of Griffin. I wouldn't be surprised if he submits him. Unfortunately, Sean O'Malley doesn't have an opponent right now. I'd love for Merab Dashashvili to come in there. That would be a tremendous fight. If it's going to be a Tim Elliott or a Ray Borg or who was the other name that was out there? I forget right now. O'Malley has too much size on those guys, especially Elliott. He's a small. He's just a very. He's how can he fight at 135? I mean, I'm sure he can, but I mean, O'Malley would just tower over him. Um, so let's see. Hopefully, Merab Dashashvili. Sorry, Sarah Longo, guys. I love him. I love Merab, but I'd love to see him fight. Now let's talk about Aldana versus Quinn. Uh, this is a great fight. I mean, obviously, neither of these girls, they had their chances. Well, Yana had to fight Cyborg, but they had their chances um, at higher levels. Aldana is a nice talent. They're both great talent. It's going to be a tremendous fight. I don't know who's going to win. It's a very even fight. It's a very even fight. Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. Now, Greg Hardy's sitting at 7-3. We know that all his fights have been in the UFC, I believe. This is a fight I think that Greg Hardy finally, you know, it's the third fight in the card. People are starting to get ready for the co-main event and the main event. This is a showcase for Hardy. Tuivasa, to me, does move for a heavyweight, but he's such a big target. Um, and Hardy's coming off a tough loss, where he kind of wilted at the end. So I expect to see a reinvigorated Hardy, a Hardy that knows it's 3rd and 19 and the quarterback has to pass, and he's been beating that offensive lineman all day, and he's ready for a sack. I think that Hardy's going to come out, and a lot of people have been, well, a friend of mine says that Hardy doesn't have heavyweight power. I think that all changes coming up on the July 10th. Gilbert Burns versus Wonderboy. I mean, now these co-main event and main event we can talk an hour each about. Burns looked incredible against Woodley until, I mean, not Woodley. Well, did he fight Woodley? Yeah, he looked incredible against Woodley. But against Usman, he was looking good until Usman's jab from hell just demolished him. But Burns has to feel that, hey, I'm the guy to beat Usman. One more fight, and I got him, again. So now Wonderboy's been out for a little bit, but we know the skill that Wonderboy has. However, there's an obvious key for Burns. Can Burns get Wonderboy to the ground? Um, Burns can strike, but I don't think he'll want to strike too much. So, um, unless Wonderboy can get him with a knockout kick, uh, I think Burns is going to bring this to the ground and finish it that way. But I kind of like Burns. I'm a big Wonderboy fan. I'd love to see Wonderboy win, but I think Burns has the ground game that's gonna be the difference. Now, the fact that Burns is an underdog is really intriguing. Again, I really like Wonderboy. I'll be rooting for him, but uh, it's hard not to look at Gilbert Burns from a gambling perspective as an underdog. And then the main event, the trilogy, it's pretty much a pick 'em. right now. Still got almost 2 weeks, a little bit less than 2 weeks from fight, 11 days. Um, obviously Connor will be ready for the leg kicks. He's obviously worked on checking leg kicks, so that won't be as big of a factor. Now watch out for Dustin to try a high one, but Connor's going to be way more looser, gooser. I think he's got his mojo back a little bit. He knows he can hurt Dustin. He knows what he has to avoid. I'm a big Diamond fan. I've been following Dustin Poirier since he was on that documentary when he was training in Louisiana with Tim Cruder, and I'm a big Poirier fan, and I wanted him to win the first fight, and I was very disappointed. In the second fight, I thought he wasn't going to win because I thought Connor's power. Now the third fight, I don't think he's going to win because of Connor's power. Now that Connor knows about the leg kicks. So every time, well, I was the most confident with Fourier in the first Connor fight. She lost. Again, I worry about the power of Connor. Um, Dustin's gonna have to do what did in the first round. Mix in some takedowns. He has a great ground game. He does. Now Connor has some good ground defense. Don't get that. People underestimate Connor's defensive ability on the takedown. Now, once he gets taken down, he's still lively, and he works a lot on it. I like Connor in this fight, but again, this is like the co-main event. My heart is with the Diamond, Poirier. So I'll be watching this fight, scared that Dustin's going to get knocked out, and rooting for Dustin. But if I was if I was, um, and if somebody said, "Hey, you want to put some money on Poirier?" I got Connor. I'm not with that. I think Connor knows that he can't lose again. If he loses again to Poirier, it's time to go, you know, proper 12 all the way. So there'll be a little bit sense of urgency. Now Poirier is he can fight, but I obviously, but I think also Connor can see that he wins here. He fights for the belt most likely. So there's so many huge fights for Connor. You can fight Gaethje or Chandler. You can fight for the title. If he can get through Dustin Poirier, which is a tough one. But I think this is the time that Connor does go through. I don't see it going the distance. I see it as I don't see it as being Connor versus Nate 2, because Poirier can't handle the damage that Nate can. Um, I do see it as a potential KO for Conor McGregor, second round, maybe third round, and just knowing how to defend the kicks. That being said, I'm rooting for Dustin with all my heart, just like I'm rooting for Wonderboy, and I would love to see Dustin come out of this with a trilogy, beating Conor twice after that tough loss way back in 14, and then beating Oliver, fighting for the title, having maybe a part two with Gaethje, which was such a classic fight anyway. Um, but in my whole body, I feel like Conor is gonna come up with this one because he just knows that this is could be his last fight. If he loses, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires. Now, I don't know about contract situations. Maybe somebody in the comments, if anybody is watching this, can talk about that. But um, this could potentially be Conor's last fight if he loses. Now, with the money at stake and the fact that Poirier didn't want to pursue a title and was more interested in the Conor trilogy, if Fourier loses, that this could be a potential retirement too. The loser of this fight might very well retire. Don't be surprised. So that's it. Let's be excited for July 10th. It's going to be great. The Just a great card. You know, they always come through on the pay-per-views. Hopefully, uh, Sugar Sean O'Malley gets a nice opponent, and wow, I'm excited already. I couldn't help myself but to create a early video. So it'll be interesting to see what the other people pick on this, but I'm trying to be a little bit ahead of the game and give my predictions, and feel free to comment. I know I have 6 subscribers right now. I'd like to get it up to 8 after this video. And there'll be other content. It's not only going to be MMA. I'll be talking about, I'm a big NBA and NFL guy, and then also I'm you know, a therapist. I've worked in acute psych wards, so I'll be adding that to my channel too. Some stories about what it's like to work behind the curtain of a psych ward. But anyway, I'm predicting Connor. I'm predicting Burns, but I'm rooting for Wonderboy and I'm rooting for Diamond, and it will be a fun night of fights. So everybody stay safe and let's enjoy these beautiful fights on July 10th. And have a great 4th.